of Education. Wow. And we've canceled all of these, saved all of this money. And again, this is just a small sample. This could go on. I could read them all day. $520 million for a consultant. I want to know, who is that consultant? To do ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance investments in Africa. $25 million to promote biodiversity conservation and illicit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in Colombia. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that even means. None of this stuff, everyone's trying to figure out, what the hell does it all mean? $42 million for social and behavior changes in Uganda. 40 million's a lot of newspaper ads in Uganda. $70 million for research of evidence-based solutions for development challenges. $10 million for Mozambique medical male circumcision. What does that mean? $2.3 million for strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive, participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. What do we need to spend $21 million for voter turnout in India? Wow, $21 million. I guess they were trying to get somebody else elected. Wow, we ought to tell the Indian government, because when we hear that Russia spent about $2 in our country, it was a big deal, right? They took some internet ads for $2,000. This is a total breakthrough. $21 million for India elections. $29 million to strengthen the political landscape in Bangladesh. $20 million for fiscal federalism, and $19 million in addition to the $21 million for biodiversity conversion in Nepal. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. We need voter confidence too when you read this list. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $2.5 million for inclusive democracies in South Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. We don't need to give them money. And in another program, $50 million plus another $50 million for condoms for Hamas. You know about that? $100 million for condoms. And these are just some. I could read this list all day long. I just don't want to bore you. But these are just some, and not nearly as bad as others. And some are just, I just don't want to say them because they're too insinuatory. We're also finding tremendous abuse, waste, and fraud in Social Security. Social Security is, what's happening there is going to be one of the great potential scandals in history. From 100 years old to 109. Think of that. Now, you don't have thousands and thousands of people, but listen to this. 3.6 million people are on Social Security rolls from the age of 110 years old to 119. Do you think there are really that many? Those people are seriously old. But it gets worse. 3.47 million people are on Social Security from the age of 120 years old to 129 years old. 3.9 million people are on the age of Social Security from 130 years old to 139 years old. Now, the all-time record, I heard, is a woman who was 127 years old. That's the record. A woman from a certain country where they have actually people that live pretty long, actually. And she was 127 years old. That's pretty old. But we're topping her by millions of people. 3.5 million people from the age 140 to 149 years old. 1.3 million people are on Social Security from the age 150 to 159. And over 130,000 people are on Social Security over the age of 160 years old, okay? Including 1,039 people, think of it, over 1,000 people between the ages of 220 to 229. And one person between the age of 240 years old to 249. And the record topper, there is one person on Social Security who's 360 years old, which is approximately 110 years older than our country. So what we're trying to find out, and what we will find out, is are people being paid from all of these, somebody pocketing 10,000 here, 10,000 there, what's going on? So we'll find that out pretty easily because we have a lot of computer geniuses. I said to Elon, who are these people that are doing this, the Doge people? I said, who are they? Where do they come from? He said, well, number one, they love
Duterte, may epekto po ba ito sa kampanya ng alyansa?
Ang alyansa ay nanatiling nakatutok doon sa araw-araw na mga suliranin ng ating mga kababayan tulad ng trabaho, pangkabuhayan. So yun po ang pinapaliwanag ng alyansa at yun po ang tinututukan natin. Hindi po tayo dapat mawalan ng focus dahil yun po ang mga suliranin na dapat resolbahan para guminhawa ang buhay ng ating mga kababayan.
Meron pa pong gusto mag-comment. Sir, nanggagaling po kasi yung tanong, yung context, doon sa hindi po pagsipot ni Senator Amy Marcos ngayon because she made a stand. So baka po ba in the future, baka if in case na meron pong other issues, meron pong hindi rin umattend na member ng alyansa?
Lagi lang nandito eh. Lagi niya nakikita. Tulad ng sabi ni Senping, sila naman na nandito, lagi naman nandito. Dahil napakahalaga na mapuntahan ang iba't ibang lugar kasi at ang iba't ibang lugar may iba't ibang peculiarities na mga problema. Though it's always kabuhayan ng tao, trabaho, pero may mga unique na mga bagay na dapat makita doon sa lugar din. Kaya kami nag-ikot because ang pagpunta naman namin dito ay hindi lang yung rally. Kung mapapansin nyo, yung iba sa kanila nagpupunta sa palengke tour, nakikipag-usap sa mga tao para malaman talaga from the grounds kung ano yung problema ng ating mga kababayan na dapat solusyonan kapag sila po ay pinapalari na manalo.
Sir, so meron or wala? Can we categorically say kung meron o walang epekto?
Ako, I'll be honest with you, no? Siyempre merong epekto kasi hindi natin maikakaila na marami ring taga-suporta si President Duterte, rightly or wrongly, siyempre, nandun yung kanilang sentimiento para sa kanya. But tayo naman, instead na tumulong tayong mag-escalate, no? Makadagdag pa tayo sa mag-escalate yung divisiveness, mas maganda siguro tumulong na lang tayo mag-de-escalate kasi naandyan na yan and I would suggest na ang government at the very least dapat gawin nila, ipakita nila yung standard na tulong na ginagawa ng gobyerno na maski sinong Pilipino, kapwa Pilipino na nasa labas ng bansa, nangangailangan ng tulong, maghatid ng tulong. Tulad ng ginawa ng embahada natin do sa the Netherlands, di ba? Agad-agad, hindi naman nangihingi ng tulong yung party ni President Duterte na dumating doon. Pero alam nila, 3 degrees centigrade yung temperature do sa Rotterdam, do sa The Hague. Agad-agad, nag-procure sila ng mga clothings na para sa panlamig at binigay nila. Hindi lamang kay former President Duterte, kundi pati yung kasama na sina E.S. Mediardia. Ganon dapat yung attitude ng government. Kasi maski nga yung convicted na for execution na. At minsan ang biktima nila sa abroad Pilipino rin. Tinutulungan pa rin ng ating government as a matter of policy and as a matter of our time-honored culture ng mga Pilipino na pagkakapwa mo Pilipino, lalo na pag nasa labas ng bansa, dapat nandyan lagi yung tulong na ino-offer natin at binibigay talaga. So there's so many ways of helping him di ba? Hindi lang yung legal or financial kasi yun nga baka medyo awkward yung situation, but there's so many ways. Yung help can come in so many forms and maybe extended in so many ways na maipakita mo yung pagmamalasakit mo sa kapwa Pilipino, hindi lamang sa isang dating Pangulo kundi sa bawat Pilipino na beyond our jurisdiction e nahaharap sa problema.
Thank you. Next question. Meron pa? Okay, next question.
Hi sir and ma'am, Mean po from TV5. Asking on behalf na po ako ng Senate reporters in relation po to Sandro's question. May we get the reaction or stand ng bawat po kandidato ng alyansa on FPRRD's arrest? Do you agree with what PBBM did? Inalaw yung pag-aresto? May mga negative response po na dapat hindi inalaw given the age and the health. Pwede po malaman ang stand po ninyo.
Okay, anyone from our senators?
Walang tama o mali na response dyan Alam mo, pinakamagandang response dyan not to respond. Kasi kahit anong sabihin mo dyan, merong mapipinta sa'yo Ako sa akin, merong mas magandang issue na dapat talakayin natin. Anong sabi ng Supreme Court nung umaangal kami sa Senate na dapat kapag ang isang treaty binawi ng Pangulo, dapat i-ratify din ng Senado muna. Dahil ni-ratify nila for confirmation Naniniwala kami noon nung nasa Senado ako, lalo na nung Senate President ako, na dapat pagka ni-ratify namin at gusto natin bumitaw, dapat kami rin ang bibitaw. Ganon yung thinking ko. Ako, mas magandang kontrobersya pag-usapan yan kaysa dito sa tinatanong ninyo Mas issue yan. Kasi before, if you will recall, President Duterte recalled us from the BFA. Naalala niyo yun? Di ba? Tapos kami, may mga nag-file sa amin ng mga senador, nag-file sa Supreme Court may tawag dun Ano may tawag natin dun declaratory relief. Di ba? Kung tama o hindi, na dapat ba, ay ratify mo na namin. Kami nag-approve ng BFA. Hindi kami na dapat nabubunot. Yan ang sinasabi namin. Later on, what happened was the Supreme ngayon naman, ito, nakabitin yan. Kine-question din namin yung ICC dati nung nandun pa ako yung pagkaka-withdraw ng presidente. Yung ba, dapat ang Senado mag-withdraw or hindi? Hindi ata dinesisyon na ng Supreme Court, if I recall it right. Medyo maganda pa naman ang memorya ko. Dinismiss because of some issue. Or parang, I don't recall the exact decision, pero alam ko, tinake up namin yun So, as of now, yan ang magandang pag-usapan pa. Sapagkat wala naman tayo magagawa doon sa issue na tinatanong ninyo ano yan no win perspective yan, I assure you.
But sirs and ma'am, tingin niyo ba may epekto sa inyong kandidatura yung nangyaring pag-aresto kay FPRRD, knowing that many Duterte supporters frowned upon it and you are admin bets? So may effect ba yan sa inyong pangangampanya, sa inyong kandidatura?
I think sinagot ko na kanina na sabi ko, I'll be very honest, may epekto talaga kasi hindi na maikakaila na marami rin siyang supporters, especially in Mindanao and even in the Visayas. So meron actually. Ngayon, ang tanong mo kung mali o tama, only time will tell. Hindi yan masasagot ngayon. Yung history books na magsasabi dyan, saka palang malalaman niya kung tama o mali pagdating ng takdang panahon. Yung takdang panahon na yun, hindi ngayon.
Isa pa po, lumulutang din po ngayon yung sinasabing kailangan na po nating bumalik sa ICC after what happened. Especially the lawyers po. And sir, of course.
Ako, personal ito, opinion, na sagot ko na rito dati. Yung International Criminal Court is a court of last resort. Yung kanilang general jurisdiction, ito yung nagdidil sa mga war crimes, genocide, crimes against humanity. Doon nakapokus yung kanilang jurisdiction. And halimbawang ma-invite tayo ng ibang bansa, no, without referring to any particular country. Baka kung hindi tayo miyembro, hindi tayo makasik ng redress o hindi tayo makapag-complain kasi hindi tayo recognize kung sakali mayroong mga war crimes na nakomit dito nung bansang hypothetical ito na mag-i-invade. So ako ang personal opinion ko, we should rejoin yung and I limit my answer to my personal opinion na sabi ko global court for the powerless, no? Ito yung universally abhorred crimes committed against a group of people. Binanggit ko na genocide and so forth and so on. So yon, very strong ano ko dito, we should rejoin.
Other senators po, other senatorial candidates po. Thank you.
Siguro po, going back to your previous question and relating it to the previous answers, as a member of this, as a member of the Senate right now, I would have to personally commend our embassy in The Hague for the efforts done and for following the mandate of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations by providing the necessary assistance to President Duterte. Tama po yun. Trabaho po yun. Kahit sinong Pilipino, tulungan nila. On a personal note, tayo po ay nalungkot din. Tayo po ay nag-alay din ng dasal. Hindi lang para kay Presidente Duterte, kundi sa bansang Pilipinas. Third, as a lawyer, and I'm sure the former president has his own legal team, there are avenues to be pursued. They can invoke Article 60 of the Rome Statute that can provide an interim release pending trial. Bahala na yung abogado niya. So yun naman po ay may mga paraan kung pwedeng nakalagay po doon na pag may iedad na o may sakit, pwedeng i-house arrest sa The Hague. So yun po ay on the legal side. But all of this, including your second question, would have to be tackled by the 20th Congress kasi kakailanganin din ng ratification ng Senado kung kailangan bumalik sa ICC. Ilangan po siguro ang posisyon ko doon.
Thank you, sir. Senator Tulfo po.
Sa akin siguro, definitely, there should be public consultation. To start with, yung ating mga mambabatas, mga district, lawmakers, senators, we have to talk about it, tackle it, para we can hear the clamor of the public. Sino ba may gusto, sino hindi, so that we would know. Mahirap lang ba? Actually, we are representatives of the people, so we want to hear the voices. Pangalawa, yung epekto you were asking kanina, I really don't know. Maybe. So we have to look siguro at towards the end of this month. Lastly, marami yung chatter sa social media. Nakita mo yung pros and cons, yung mga pro Duterte, yung kontra Duterte. Nag-aaway-away sa social media. Masasabi ko lamang ho, and then the former president is still a Filipino, di po ba? So dapat ho bigyan pa rin siya ng tulong ng gobyerno natin ng bahada ho natin kasi tulad po ng ibang
Habang nagwala yung
The former president, let's all remember, is still a Filipino. Naresto nga po, dinala sa Hague, but it doesn't mean to say na we should not afford him as a Filipino. Kasi meron po tayo mga OFWs na may mga kaso, convicted, but we still accord them all the legal means, lahat ng kailangan. Kung dadalhin yung pamilya sa abroad, dinadala ng gobyerno natin, ng OWA, ng DFA. So why shouldn't we still accord the same treatment to this person? Pangalawa po, the point is, sabi na rin ng ICC, former President Rodrigo Duterte remains innocent until proven guilty. Unfortunately, may nababasa po ako sa social media na tama lang yan, etc. Doon po nag-aaway yung dalawang grupo. Pero kung ako ang tatanungin mo, let justice takes its due po. Kailangan ho natin yung content, huwag ho tayo sa atin. Noong panahon ng COVID, lahat naging doktor. Nung bumagsak po yung tulay sa Kabangkan, lahat naging engineer. Ngayon naman ho, lahat attorney. Kahit naman, hindi pa nga nakapagtapos sa kapag-aral, na ating attorney na may opinion. Hayaan ho natin, swerte lang ho tayo, dahil lahat naman ho tayo ay mga miron. Wag ho natin yung opinion natin, itatayo natin sa social media, this and that. Kasi ang problema ho, lalong nagugulo. Wag na ho natin dagdagan yung problema ng bayan. Besides, ang problema po na ito is part of Philippine politics, political problem to issue. We have other problems. We have economic problems, we have healthcare problems, we have corruption problems that we have to deal now.
Okay, yan na. Okay. So, siguro naman po, maliit lang mga nakakapagsabi. Dahil po kami sa mga nang...
Hello?
Okay. So siguro yun nga, ulitin ko po manhid lang siguro yung na hindi po kami apektado dun sa mga nangyari recently. Marami pong nagbabatikos, marami yung nagsasabi, ay, hindi kita boto kasi nasa alyansa ka. I think isa lang naman po lahat ang gusto natin. Lahat tayong gusto natin hustisya. And I believe the ICC is the right avenue. And be impartial. It will be fair. Kung ano man po ang magiging desisyon ICC, matagal pa yan mangyayari bago pagkaroon ng desisyon. It is something that we expect to be fair. Kasi hindi natin kayang impluwensyahan ang ICC. Hindi yan kayang impluwensyahan ng kahit sino man, masalo na dito sa Pilipinas. I think we have to trust the ICC, we have to trust the process. So again, the question kung tama po ba yung pag-aresto, it is not for us to say because it is a legal question. Kung tama ba o hindi po para sa mga senatorial candidates ang sagot ng tanong na yun. But I'm hoping naman po sa lahat po ng mga botante go beyond whether we are pro Marcos or we are pro Duterte. What do we stand for? Kami. Ano ba ang what do we bring to the table? Ano bang tinatayuan namin? Hindi ho po pwedeng, kasi nakadikit ka dito. Ayaw ko sa'yo. It reminds me of nung RH bill. It's either you are pro RH or you are pro life. Parang ganun yung nangyari nung sa RH bill noong 2000, nung dinidinig yung RH bill. It is beyond that. Hindi naman ho kami, yes, we are part of the administration, but we are individuals in a group. So sana naman po dun sa mga botante, we're not talking about kung pro Marcos ka ba o pro Duterte ka, kung pink ka ba, kung dilaw ka ba, kung green ka ba, kung red ka ba. At the end of the day, ang gusto po natin, tama po nga si Sen. Erwin, ano ba ang pwede naming ibigay sa mga kababayan po natin? Wag ho masyadong simplistic yung explanation kung bakit iboboto ko to kasi pro kung ano man ang kulay niya. So yun yung sana ang mensahe para sa lahat ng medyo mainit kasi yung mainit ang mga ulo ng mga tao. Pero sana bigyan natin ng pagkakataon yung ICC na alam naman natin na magiging patas. Para hindi naman nga sinasabi na guilty siya. Kaya nga may proseso, kaya nga may trial. So bigyan natin yun ng pagkakataon.
Thank you. Before we continue, I'd like to welcome.
I apologize for being late. Okay? Tinanong ko ho kung ano yung kuling katanungan. Siguro it's about the current issue that is nangyayari po sa ating bansa ngayon. Gusto ko lang ipaliwanag sa ating mga kababayan na ang ating gobyerno ay tatlong haligi. Nakapasi ito sa tatlong haligi. Kung tatanggalin mo isang haligi dito, babagsak ang gobyerno. Anong haligi yun? Ang tigagawa ng batas. This is the legislature. Ang Kongreso, ang Senado, ang Konseho, Provincial Board Member, etc. Pagkatapos, ang tiga-implementa ng batas. Ang Presidente, ang Gobernador, ang Mayor, etc. si Kapitan. At kung nagkakagulo yung dalawa, kung nakakagulo, may pangatlong haligi. Ano yun? Ang Judikatura, ang Judge. Under the Constitution, they are equal branches of government. Co-equal. It makes sure na kung anong gulo nangyayari ngayon, at the end of the day, there is a process. At ang prosesong yan, at the end of the day, ang judiciary ang mag-uusga whether tama ito o hindi. Nasa ganung, ang ating bansa ay nasa ganung katayuan na po mga kababayan. In fact, kung di ako nagkakamali, marami na ho nag-file ng kaso about the Supreme Court. 3 issues or 4 issues ni-raise lahat ngayon. And as I am talking right now, ito'y nililitis ng Korte Suprema, pinakikinggan, and anything we say will be sub judice. Ang sa akin lang, I know emotions are so high right now. But let's believe in the process of our government, of our Constitution. Pabayaan po natin mag-usga ang Supreme Court po rito. That is my take on that. Pangalawa, apektado ba kami? Well, personally, I will say yes. Because right now, it's an emotional issue. Pero sana, let's not focus on the fact that kami rito ay tumatakbo for a senatorial position. Ang gagawa programa for the next 6 years for our country. Sana tignan natin ang programa nila lahat. No? Na ibibigay po natin. Because at stake, it's really the future of our country. Yun lang po. Magandang hapon po.
Thank you. The partners that was dating DILG Secretary and the Chairman, Congressman multi-awarded Mayor ng Mandaluyong, taong uunahin ko, number 1 sa balota, Ilos Abalos, Attorney Benhur Abalos. So, next question.
Good afternoon po sa buong alyansa. Elson Kismorio po ng Manila Bulletin. If I may direct my question po to our campaign manager, kay Kong Toby po. Kung it's been 1 month since nag-start po yung kampanya, I think it's a good time for an assessment. Sa mga survey po, we see na it's either 8 or 10 po na Alyansa Bets ang nakakapasok sa winner circle. So, are you satisfied with this? And compared po sa pakiramdam nyo noong February, compared sa ngayon, mas confident po ba kayo?
Ambe. So, unang-una, siyempre, naka-1 buwan na tayo, so napakagandang opportunity at tutuloy-tuloy lang namin ito dahil nakita naman natin maganda, no? With regards to the surveys, yan po yung maganda dun sa legitimate surveys, nakikita po natin kung ano yung mga dapat areas na improve natin para mas gumanda po at mas marami po sa ating mga kandidato ang makapasok doon sa Magic 12. So, pinag-aaralan po natin yung legitimate surveys to give us a guide, no? Kasi yung survey is a snapshot of what was yesterday, kung ano yung nung nakaraan, nung pinunan yung surveys. Pero may pa tayong higit na 60 days para mag-adjust, no? So, kung ano po yung necessary adjustments, of course, it's not only up to me. I also consult our candidates kung ano sa tingin nila yung mas mabuti para mas malaman ng ating mga kababayan yung plataforma ng bawat kandidato dahil kami po ay kumpiyansa na kung malalaman yung plataforma ng bawat kandidato, more than qualified po yung ating mga kandidato. So, salamat.
Pero satisfied po kayo doon sa results po ngayon?
Ganito lang, gawin natin. Alam nyo, pag eleksyon, it's not whether you're satisfied or not. Siyempre, meron tayong 12 kandidato, no? So, pagsisikapan po talaga natin at may panahon pa